Nancy Elise here at Bowman Library in our children's room with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So, we are now in the middle of March, and if you haven't realized it yet, March is Women's History Month. So we are going to embrace that theme for our week this week, and we are taking a look at books that are all inspired by girl power. So we have some awesome fiction books with some strong female characters. We have some awesome nonfiction books that take a look at how women have changed and inspired things around the world. And so we're gonna get started because there is, again, some serious girl power here that we wanna dive into. So our first one is Esperanza Rising. So it is 1930, and Esperanza is living in Mexico with her family, and their family's kind of unique because they are very wealthy. They don't experience a lot of the things that other people in their country experience. But this soon changes when her father is murdered and there's a bunch of family drama, and the only solution that seems possible is for her and her mother to leave the country and to move to California, where things are dramatically different. Esperanza now has to work on a farm owned by one of their former workers, and it's not the easiest job. All she does all day is she picks grapes, and she gets paid barely nothing. But her and her mom should consider themselves lucky because they get to stay at this farm. They're not migrant workers. Migrant workers are people who have to move from farm to farm in order to find a job. And Esperanza witnesses firsthand some of the things that go on, like from the treatment to these migrant workers, which are horrible things. And they face things like deportation, which means they'll be sent back to their home country, and they struggle with the government as they just want to stay in the United States because it's a better life, and they will have a job. The migrant workers, though, they decide to start doing something about this, and they decide they're going to come together in strength in numbers. They're going to demand better treatment. And Esperanza soon finds herself getting involved more and more into this movement. And as she does this, she starts to become this incredible independent young female who is able to take care of her family in a way she never thought possible. This historical fiction book is based on the author's grandmother's experience. It is so good. You will be cheering for Esperanza as she goes through this incredible journey. This is Esperanza Rising. Our next one is an autobiography. This is called Proud. So Ishbijah Muhammad was the first Muslim woman to represent the United States in an international competition. And her sport of choice is fencing. Maybe it's one that you've heard of, maybe it's one you haven't. It is super cool. Basically, it's kind of like really intense sword fighting, but no one gets anything like cut off or anything like that. She is so good at this that she won a bronze medal in the Summer Olympics in 2016, making her the third best female fencer in the entire world. This is all about her journey growing up in the United States as a Muslim woman, and she wants to still wear her hijab. Okay? That's what she wants to do, and she was determined to do that, and she still wears it to this day. And she became involved in fencing, and she needed to stay true to herself while trying to find her place in the world while still having her beliefs. She's frank when she's discussing the racism she's faced and how cruel people can be at times, but she's never let it stop her from accomplishing her goals, and she's met her dreams with the help of her family and friends. This inspiring memoir will put you in her shoes and will let you see the world through her eyes as you learn about her amazing journey. This is Proud. The evolution of Calpurnia Tate. So it's the beginning of the 1900s, and 11-year-old Calpurnia is expected to become a lady. She should be interested in clothes, sewing, cooking, crafts, and things like that, but she has zero interest in any of it. Instead, she would rather be conducting science experiments with her grandfather. And for a female in the early 1900s, that was not really an acceptable choice. So instead, her grandfather decides, hey, I'm going to encourage her to do this anyways. And Calpurnia falls in love with science to the point where she and her grandfather actually discover a plant that no one has ever seen before, and they send off her findings to the Smithsonian for confirmation. While they're waiting for this, though, Calpurnia feels that she's being torn in two different directions: her love for science and her wanting to make her mother happy. But this leads her to be conflicted both internally and externally, and Calpurnia isn't really sure what she wants to do, is what is expected of her. This book is all about being strong, finding out who you really are, and following your passions. There is a sequel to this one, so you can read what happens after Calpurnia at the end of this one. This is the evolution of Calpurnia Tate. Aminas Voice. So Amina is 11 years old, and she's Pakistani-American Muslim girl who loves to sing and enjoys spending time with her best friend Sujin. Sujin is Korean-American, and she is on her way to becoming an American citizen. And during this process, Sujin starts thinking about adding a second name to her name, a name that is more American, which makes Amina confused because she's proud of who she is in her name, and she doesn't understand why Sujin doesn't feel the same way. During all of this, while trying to figure out these feelings, Amina's also trying to juggle her family's expectations of her when it comes to their religion. And when her uncle comes for a visit from Pakistan, all he can do is criticize Amina for being too American and not enough Muslim, and especially he does not agree with her singing. As Amina becomes more confident in herself and she starts to make her own choices and tries her best to balance her life and all of the expectations that people have for her while still trying to be true to herself, she realizes it's going to be up to her to decide what it is that she wants for her. This is Aminas Voice. They just announced that there's going to be a sequel, which is super exciting. So read this one and then get ready for the new one. Girls think of everything. So this is all about women who are epic inventors, and what they've come up with has literally changed the world. So if you love inventions, inventors, some of this stuff is just going to blow your mind. This discusses the process that they all went through, encouraging you not to give up because nothing magically happens the first time, and it takes work and it takes time. And a lot of people didn't encourage them, but they still powered through. So if you want to read about some serious girl power, Girls Think of Everything. And our last one for today is one of my new favorites, and this is one in a series. There are a couple of these. This is 50 Women in Science. Literally, this is all about 50 women that have epically changed things in science. This is a collection of mini biographies. You open it up, you'll see like an awesome drawing with some facts on them, and it will tell you about that person in one page. So you're getting like the most important things that you need to know about these epic women. So there are women in here who invented literally scientific equipment that people still use to today. And even ones that discovered brand new theories, worked with animals, or even helped to put men on the moon for the first time. This book is filled with tons of facts, information, and it will encourage you, it will inspire you to do whatever you set your mind to. This is Women in Science. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here that are filled with some epic girl power as we celebrate Women's History Month. We encourage you to come on down, maybe check out one of these, or we are here to help you find your epic girl power book that you will love to read. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you tune back next week when we have a whole new middle grade book spotlight.